Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can set up a WordPress site on a free web host. And I'm going to be using AwardSpace in this video. In a previous video, I showed you how to set up a very simple website with AwardSpace. And if you haven't seen that, you can watch that, but I'll go over some of the basics and show you how to get WordPress on AwardSpace for free. Okay, so the first thing is you're going to sign up for a free account. Go to awardspace.com and make a free account. I'm going to assume that you have made an account, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go to your main account, and you're going to go to Domain Manager, and then what you're going to do is go to Hosted Domains. So you're going to host a domain. In my example, it's exampleeshop.com. You're going to add that. And then once you do that, it's going to give you some information for that you need to point either your domain registrar or something like Cloudflare to. So I'll show you here. So this here, it shows me that if I want to have this example eshop.com on AwardSpace, what I need to do is this is the information here. Some additional information. So this is what you need to look at. So either on your name server, you're going to point to these. They might be different for your account, but in my example, either I could have pointed to this from my domain registrar, or I can point I can make an A record and point to here. So again, either change your name servers to a WordSpace like this, or have a default A record. And I recommend having an A record because I prefer using Cloudflare. And you can use Cloudflare and point an A record, or you can set up your DNS records. So here's the A record. I got this IP address from here, and what I did was I made an A record, and then I put the IP address that Cloudflare, that AwardSpace told me, and then I made the A record. So I have an A record, but I could have chosen to use the name servers. Okay, so let's assume that your site is already on AwardSpace. It might take several hours to get it transferred. So what you're going to do before we're going to do WordPress is you're going to put up a simple file. It could be any file, but just try to test it as an index.html file. So for example, you could use an index.html file like this, or something even simpler, just whatever you want. You can copy this if you want and save it as an index.html, or you can do whatever, make your own index.html. I just recommend testing it. And then you're going to upload to your site. Here you can upload files, and here I uploaded the index.html. You see, that's the index.html. And then what you can do to test if the site works is go to your domain, and this is what the actual index.html. So this says, welcome to my page. This is a simple HTML page with basic CSS styling. Okay, so this confirms that it's working on AwardSpace, but that simple kind of website is not very useful. So I want to use WordPress, and I'm going to show you the steps here. So here are the steps to set up WordPress on AwardSpace. So first, you have to have the actual domain on AwardSpace. Again, use the name servers or a record, and only once this is ready, then you go on to the next steps. So you're going to make a MySQL database, username and password. You're going to download WordPress. You're going to set up an FTP account on AwardSpace. You're going to transfer the WordPress files. You're going to set up the WordPress installation using the database information, so you'll go to your domain. And then you'll make the WordPress login and test it. So again, I've already set up a WordSpace, so I know it's working, so I'm going to do this. Make a MySQL database username and password. So we're going to go back to WordSpace and go to Dashboard. and you're going to look for the database manager. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a database, and you're going to make a database name and a password. And I think the username defaults to the same as the database name. So I just deleted a previous one I had. But let's say, for example, I wanted to call and it's not giving me the option to change the first ones. So let's add this. I'm going to just call it that, and then test DB. I'll call it test DB. So I'm going to log. So give me a second here. Okay, so I'm going to call the username, I'm going to call the database name testdb. So this is the full database name. This is the username. It's going to be the same as the database name, and I'm going to give it a password. Okay, so you're going to have a password. You need to verify the password, and then you're going to create the database. So make sure you write these down because you're going to need them later. And then also you're going to have to log this down. The host is very important. You'll need that for the WordPress installation. So for example, in my case, I would log the name, the username, the password, and the host. So you would save this somewhere. And if you forgot it for some reason, you can go back to information. So log the host. So again, this is the host. The port, maybe we might need the port, but probably not. But let's just copy the port down anyway. We got the name, database username, and the password. Okay, so save that information. And now we're going to go on to making an FTP account. Okay, so now we're going to make an FTP account. Like I said, we need to transfer the files. Unfortunately, AwardSpace does not allow us to upload zip files. That would be way easier. WordPress is several thousand files, and unfortunately, we got to use FTP if we want it done in a reasonable amount of time. Okay, so we're going to also create an FTP account, and let's do this here. I'm going to make I'll make a username and a password. Okay, so I'm going to have some password. I'll use a different password, but make sure you log this down. So the FTP username and the password, and then we'll also need to log something else. Okay, so you're going to create the FTP account. Okay, it's been made. And then you're going to go down to it and look for information. So information, we need this in order to actually transfer. So unfortunately with the free account, I think we only have basically the option to use FTP. I don't think SFTP or the secure FTP will work. So we need to use this one. So basically you're going to log this information down. So the host name in your case might be different. This was something like what mine is. Okay, so we've made a MySQL database username and password. I made an FTP account, and then what you're going to do is you're going to download WordPress. Okay, so it should be at wordpress.org/download. You're going to click download, and I think the default will be a zip file, but they also have other types of files. Anyway, so download the default, and then we're going to transfer using FTP. Okay, so I downloaded the WordPress zip file, and I extracted it. And what we're going to end up doing is transferring the WordPress folder with FTP. So, okay, so you're going to use something called FileZilla. This is FileZilla, and FileZilla should be available in all major operating systems. So what you're going to do is you're going to basically connect. You're going to go to Site Manager. Okay, and remember I told you to save your FTP information. You're going to put that in here. Okay, and so this is where you put the host information, and then you'll put your username and password. And unfortunately, I think it only supports the plain FTP, which is insecure. I tried using SFTP, it didn't work. So maybe the paid accounts support the other ones, but you might just have to use the insecure FTP. But we're just transferring WordPress, so that's not really transferring personal information because it's just WordPress files. So let's click on Connect. And okay, so it is now connected. And what you're going to do is click on this. We're going to delete the index.html file, and we're going to transfer all the WordPress files by dragging and dropping. Okay, so notice that there's over 3,000 files to be transferred, and this might take more than 30 minutes, so I'm going to come back when it's done. Okay, let's continue. I've transferred the files, and now let's see if, let's go to the file manager. Okay, reloading the file manager. Notice that the files are here now. There should be several thousand files. It says 3,565. Okay, so that's a good sign. And now let's go to the actual website and note that it should be at exampleeshop.com/WordPress based on how I uploaded it. But if you want it to be in the base, you'll just upload the files without the WordPress folder. Okay, great sign. So now it looks like the WordPress is correctly on FileZilla. It was transferred with FileZilla, and now I'm going to set up the WordPress site. So I'm going to use English, and it wants to know the password and all this information for the database. And let's go. So you're going to get the database information that we should have saved before. Okay, in my case it was this, but yours will very likely be different. So make sure you update with the correct information and submit. Okay, I was putting in the wrong password for the database, and I just found out the right password. I'm going to click on Run the installation. And then now it should be now all you're going to do is set up the WordPress login information and the site title and stuff like that. Okay, now here I made a username and password. I made a weak password. You can use a strong one, and use your email address. You need to have your email address. I'm going to have it discourage it because I don't want Google indexing it or others, but you can, if you actually want to have the WordPress site, I would recommend that you do not check this. And then you're going to click on Install WordPress. Okay, now you'll have it like this. And so now let's go to the base of the website just to see what it looks like. Okay, cool. So we have a website up. It's very simple, but it's an example WordPress site. And here's the sample page. Now to log in, you're going to go to wp-admin. So wp-admin. And then you're going to put in the credentials you just made earlier. Okay, now we're logged in, hopefully. Okay, great. So fantastic, it works. And now I want to install one plugin. Okay, here I'm going to click on Add New Plugin. And for some reason, it's pointing to the themes. So there must have been an error in the transfer of the FTP, unfortunately. I could redo it, but I wanted to show you this because maybe on your first time you might have some error. This shows the plugins, but actually I want to install a new plugin. And because that it's not showing the plugins, the option to install plugins, there must have been an error in the installation. So what we can do is delete all the files on the AwardSpace and then retransfer all of them. I think it was because there was at least one file that had some error in the FTP transfer, and maybe this is why there's a problem. Okay, so anyway, but hopefully you won't have a problem like I did, and this is how you can get a WordPress site on AwardSpace. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this, please subscribe or follow this channel and like the video. See you in the next one. Thank you.